Now, but the big news of the day, as it relates to us here in the Triangle, is the Big Ten's new media deal that was officially announced this afternoon. I will admit, it sounded really weird when I watched the CBS sizzle reel. This music starts to play. We all know this music. When you hear this music, you think one thing, and one thing only. Let's be real.
Tennessee getting destroyed by Alabama.
Right? Uncle Vern's about to pop on. Right? Here we go. SEC football time. But no, I'm watching the sizzle reel. I'm getting Maryland highlights. Greg Schiano pops up on my screen. There's
Illinois.
a Rutgers touchdown. Did they?
Hurry, guys. Get Northwestern in there.
Did they forget Northwestern? No, there's Northwestern. At the end of the clip, there's Northwestern with a player doing a salute. I'm sure that warmed Jim Phillips' heart, right? So it was a little off-putting to hear that music with Big Ten highlights associated with it, but that's what we're going to get going forward. It's a $1 billion deal that's spread across 3 different broadcast networks. Fox, who will have their big noon Saturday, 12 o'clock, a brilliant marketing strategy to put those games right out of the gate. And why noon football, while fans might hate it, television loves it. CBS will get the 3:30 window. NBC gets the evening game at 7 o'clock. Again, I cannot stress this enough. $1 billion. This starts in 2023. UCLA and Southern Cal are going to join the Big Ten, I believe, in 2024. And it runs for 7 years, which to me is the most important part of this deal. Why? Well, the Big Ten has been really strategic with the length of their media deals for 2 reasons. The first one is it allows them to be flexible and take advantage of the market conditions, meaning that they already have a negotiation floor based on what other conferences are doing. The other part is there now a need at a network that just lost big-time college football? Looking at you, CBS. Well, we can now fill that need. And that's exactly what they did with CBS, who's paying more for that 3:30 window than they did with the SEC previously. It's kind of funny, right? You're thinking to yourself, seriously, the second-tier Big Ten game is more valuable now than it was for the SEC? Well, I'm sure the SEC would have gotten more money if they had stuck around with CBS, but they decided to put all their eggs in one basket with ESPN so they can control everything with one network. And I just don't mean college football windows on television. When I say control everything, they also wanted to control the talking points. And they understand that while CBS has college football and Fox has their college football and NBC is going to be on board, who causes the conversation? Who directs the conversation when it comes to national college football? ESPN. And they're going to have a media rights partner now that clearly has a vested interest in promoting SEC football all the time.
Don't forget they're adding Oklahoma, too.
Yes.
Again, these conferences, the Big Ten, the SEC, they made the right choices in the schools that they decided to add. That's where the money is. You could do it the one way, like you said, the SEC, hey, we're going to ESPN.
Yep.
We're going to bundle this thing together. Or you could split it up and make the more money on the short-term basis, I think, for the Big Ten by those smaller contracts. Those are smart because this contract and the move to add UCLA and USC is a direct result of the Texas and Oklahoma move by the SEC. Same for Notre Dame. You know, Notre Dame is re-ups at the right time because CBS not being involved, not having the SEC, puts a little bit of pressure on NBC to say, hey, we can't just lowball you and just think we're going to re-up with you just because we've had a long-standing relationship, particularly when CBS is out there. Works out for Notre Dame, works out for NBC. NBC now getting this Big Ten programming, shoulder programming, as they like to say. These are the kind of teams that are like Notre Dame, let's be honest.
Yeah, sure.
You know, if it's the third choice, right? So you're going to be talking
Maryland,
Purdue.
Just like Notre Dame.
Well, again, I know
what you mean.
But,
I know what
you
you
know,
mean.
Purdue, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Iowa, you know, Illinois. These are all schools that if you're inclined to watch Notre Dame at 3 or vice versa, you're going to watch the lead-in or the after.
About taking advantage of the market conditions, that also involves playing the conference realignment game right. We bring up UCLA and Southern Cal. Well, because of the shorter television contract window, they timed it and we talked about this 5 or 6 years ago when the original deal went through for the Big Ten. They've positioned themselves for other grant of rights and other television deals to run out. They timed it perfectly with the Pac-12. And when they were coming around to, hey, look, we're gonna make $1 billion a year. Hey, UCLA, Southern Cal, you want to help us out with this? All right, cool, let's do it. So
we should note the fiscal year payout for the Big Ten in 21, which was down because of some COVID issues.
Of course.
Because they had floated money to 20, I should clarify, was $679 million. So they're about to jump from $679 million to $1 billion. That's kind of nuts.
That is significant. So, but
that's timing.
It's all about the timing
and not being locked into a deal,
which gets
until
us
2036.
Which gets us to the 7-year window. All right, the ACC's grant of rights, essentially the thing that's keeping the conference together, because it would be it would ruin a school financially if they tried to leave the conference right now, because the media rights that they would go and sign. We'll use North Carolina as the example here, because I do think that North Carolina is the linchpin in all of this.
Yes.
It's not Clemson. It's not Florida State. It's not Miami. It is North Carolina, which would be attractive to the Big Ten and the SEC, but specifically the Big Ten. I think it aligns more with the Big Ten. Right now, if North Carolina wanted to leave the ACC, it would financially ruin them. They would sign with the Big Ten, and all the money they make from that media rights deal goes where?
Back to the ACC.
Back to the ACC. Now, it would be financially beneficial for the rest of the schools in the ACC. Like, hey, we're getting North Carolina's money spread across everybody else. Cool, right? But obviously, North Carolina's not going to do that.
Assuming that grant of rights holds up in a court of law.
Well, that gets to the second part.
Yeah.
If North Carolina can get a block of schools to challenge the grant of rights, to say they can get 5 different schools in the ACC.
I think you have to get to 8.
Okay.
In order to
really
tear it up.
To tear it up. Let's say that block of schools happen. But I would even argue that you can get 5 to really
challenge,
test it.
Not to rip up, but to test.
To test it. But I don't see that happening. Yet, at least. But now
they'd have to be together, I would. Yeah.
Now that we know that the Big Ten's media rights deal lasts for 7 years, it bumps you out to 2030, which is closer to 2036. Math. You get to that point, you can start having conversations saying, hey, look, we can go about this 2 ways. We can put our financials on ice for the next 5 years and try to, or in this case, they would try to buy their way out. Or now that we're nearing the end, we can get more schools on board with us, and things would break off. And that's why I say the ACC is officially on the clock. Now that we know what the deal is, it's no longer a matter of speculation. We know what the window is for the ACC. It's 7 years. Probably shorter than that, because these things will probably start happening before the 7 years is up. So let's go with 5 years. They've got 5 more years to figure something out financially to keep the ACC together. Otherwise, we're looking at another massive seismic shift in college realignment.
If everything stays the same, though.
I think things will stay the same. Because I don't see where the ACC...
I would like to bet against that.
I don't know where the ACC is going to...
I meant the entire landscape, right? Like when we had... Like, you love to give me a hard time about...
Sure.
Conversations that happened in 2004. Well, you're not really remembering what it was like in 2003 and 2004.
You're right.
Right?
You're right.
So what I'm saying to you is, in 7 years, are we sure... And the biggest thing to bet on here is it still going to be football?
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say this, and I'm not saying this callously, but football does have the potential to turn into boxing. It does. And what happened with boxing in the 80s was there was a death in the ring.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a lot to get to that point. And we don't want to see that in football, obviously. Mm-hmm. No one wants to see that. But it would be a fool's errand to say that it couldn't happen, that it's not within the realm of possibility. And those are the things that you look at participation levels in football, particularly when you line up education levels with participation levels in football, and affluence and participation levels in football. And are we going to have a supply of players in 10 years?
Yeah.
Are we going to have the same, or is it going to be like we've seen in the supply chain issues during the pandemic and post-pandemic years here? That's where I'm saying to you, can we bet on this? That's also where I would say to you the Big Ten is smart, to say, all right, the last 2 deals the Big Ten have made have been smart short window deals.
Yeah.
I'm saying to you, a lot can change in 7 years. Holistically, not just, hey, what you're saying about TV. You're absolutely right about TV. Because football's what sells.
Football is what
moves.
sells. And broadcast networks.
Broadcast TV, I should say.
Broadcast TV specifically. And broadcast TV is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And that's why football's getting the money that it's getting right now from broadcast television.
And again, knock on wood.
Yeah.
As somebody who worked in the newspaper business for 24 years. I'm just saying, in 2003, we probably could have said, the newspaper business is not going anywhere, right? Sports talk radio business isn't going anywhere.
Yeah,
broadcast TV is not going anywhere.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I'm just trying to point out that a lot can change.
Yeah, we don't know where anything. And I'm with you on that. Ultimately, I do agree with you on that. You cannot predict where the media landscape is going to be in the next 5 years. Nobody could have predicted TikTok, right? Nobody could predict TikTok. Essentially, we were like, it's Instagram, Snapchat, it's this, it's that. And all of a sudden, here comes this app that absolutely obliterates everybody else, and now people are playing catch-up. Nobody could have predicted that 5 years ago. And now I'm the one, like a dummy, at the end of the day, watching cat videos on TikTok with catchy little songs.
Are you the dummy or are you entertained?
I am entertained.
There you go.